everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Samara, and today in this video I'm going to share with you my experience of what it was like growing up black. Now before I get started, I do want to say a few things. Number one being the obvious, my experience is not going to look the same as everybody else's. And number two, I will be anonymously mentioning a few people who have either said some things and done some things, and I just want to let it be known that I don't have like any grudges or anything against them. I don't plan on sharing these stories to embarrass them or attack them in any sort of way. These are just my experiences that I'm just choosing to share with you all. The main purpose in sharing this experience with you guys is to just shed a little insight of other people's perspectives and help other people understand what other people may go through in life. So now that I got all that out of the way, let's just go ahead and get started. So growing up, and a lot of black people will be able to tell you this, a lot of them had this talk when they were a kid about what racism is, different stuff like what police brutality is, people not liking you because of the color of your skin, pretty much what life was like being black. However, growing up, I never had that conversation. I'm gonna take it back to the first experience where I realized I was black. So when I was in second grade, me and my mom were at my neighbor's house for dinner, and mind you, I lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. So we was over at my neighbor's house for dinner one night, and their oldest daughter was just, you know, being goofy, just doing things, saying things, making everybody laugh or whatever, okay? But then all of a sudden she turns to her dad and basically just trying to be funny. Remind you, y'all, she was a kid. She was younger than me. She was in kindergarten, so like, don't do too much on her now. But she turns to her dad and she was like, "Daddy, why did God create black people?" And everybody at that table, including my mom, was laughing. I was the only one at that table that was not laughing. Then the youngest daughter turned to me. She had to be like 3 at the time, and she was like, "Oh, Tamara, you're black." And in that moment, it made me feel weird. It made me feel like an outcast. That was like I said, that was my first experience where I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm black. I'm actually different from you all. Because like I said, I never had that whole growing up black, what it's like growing up black talk when I was younger. So like, when I was that age, like, I'm not gonna say race wasn't a thing to me, but it didn't matter to me. In that moment too, because my neighborhood was predominantly white, I also felt like pretty much the neighbors secretly hate me. They really didn't though. They really didn't. Like to this day, they still ask how I'm doing. They reach out to my mom, talk to my mom and stuff. But since I felt like an outcast, I felt like at that age, like I felt like the neighbors secretly hated me because I was black. Now, obviously, because they were kids at the time, I don't hold any grudges because, you know, kids don't know better. Like, kids only know what their parents teach them, obviously. But not to throw shade at my parents or anything, but they ain't teach me nothing about being black my entire life, pretty much. So with that being said, we never had conversations about like police brutality, Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, none of that stuff. I honestly didn't even know what microaggressions were until I was like in college. Because let's be real, they're not gonna teach you everything in public schools. They really not. And I'm gonna be honest, to this day, I still don't know the Black National Anthem, guys. Yeah, go ahead and revoke my black card or whatever, I don't care, but I still don't know it, y'all. But because I wasn't taught about my race and racism, whenever I faced racism in like middle school and high school, I didn't really know how to go about these situations because I was never taught how to. And like I said, I didn't even know what microaggressions were until I was in college. And growing up, I could have faced microaggressions without even realizing what they were. And not to hate on my parents, not to talk down on them on anything, but like, I felt like this is the one area in my life where they really failed. And I know that's hard to say considering no parent wants to hear that they failed their child, but like, they didn't teach me anything about life. Like, I had to grow up learning everything by myself. So anyways, even though I felt like an outcast in my neighborhood, I grew up going to some pretty diverse schools, so I didn't necessarily, even though I did face racism or whatever, I didn't necessarily feel like an outcast per se. So like with my schools and stuff, since they were so diverse, we could all just like pretty much coexist. Not all, of course, but yeah. Now with the next thing I'm gonna dive into, before you get riled up, please just take the time out to really listen. I should have put that in the beginning of the video. Just take the time out to listen before you react. So like I said, grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. You know, there was probably one or two other black people, right? So when I went to middle school, that's when I started to get exposed to more black people. However, these black people did not act like me in the slightest bit. I know this is not going to be one of those things where I diss other people for how they act. I really don't care. I was actually cool with some of them. But scratch what I said before about me not feeling like an outcast, because now that I think about it, I really did feel like an outcast still growing up in school, just in a different way. Because with these black people, because I didn't act like them, I acted what they call white. You know how growing up they say, oh, you act white, or you act black, or you whatever. But they would consider me as an Oreo. And I know y'all remember that term. For those who don't know what that is, basically they were saying even though I'm black, I pretty much act like a white person. So black on the outside, white on the inside. And the problem isn't the fact that we act different. Like, if you want to act a certain way, act a certain way. If you don't want to act, I don't care. But the problem is when you start questioning my blackness, because I'm not this cookie cut version of what you see as black. Just because I don't listen to the same music or watch the same movies or whatever, that does not mean I'm not black, y'all. Like, I know, like, in middle school, like, you know, kids don't know no better. Like I said before, kids don't know no better. But, like, understanding that black is not a monolith and that we're not going to act the same, we're all going to look different. Understand that, and, like, you will get my frustration. And I do want to say, like, for the black people out there, when you tell other black people that they act white, that does not help. That does not make them want to act black, you know? Like, that just makes them more insecure. You get what I'm saying? So, like, when you say things like, oh, you act white, you make us feel like we're not accepted. And being real, putting two together, if we're not accepted by our own people, which group of people do you think we are going to follow? So overall, I just want to say, every black person is going to act different. Black is not a monolith. There are black people who listen to rap music, black people who listen to rock and roll. There are black people who have never watched Love and Basketball. There are black people who love anime. There are black people who hate soul food, and that's okay. That does not mean we need to revoke their black card, or they not black, they're a part of the white side. That does not mean that. It is okay. Because it's like, when you guys create division like that, what y'all fail to realize is, at the end of the day, whether that person listens to rap music or watches anime, when that person walks down the street, a racist white person is just gonna, well, I don't want to say that word. A racist white person is just going to see a black person. Well, in their eyes, they will see a certain slur for that black person, if you get what I'm saying. But moving on to high school, I faced racism, and it was pretty much more obvious at this time. I faced it by my ex, especially when I first went natural. So yeah, that was fun or whatever. But at the time I started my natural hair journey, I started to find more people on social media that looked like me and was more confident in their blackness without shaming other black people. And so that kind of helped molded my confidence. And this was like freshman year of high school, by the way. And so then too, unfortunately, this was also the time where I've seen police brutality for the first time. The very first time I have seen police brutality was the Alton Sterling video. And from there I was like, no, something's gotta change. From there I felt like I was more like into my pro-black side and like getting to know my people more and like learning more about racism and different stuff like that. But all throughout high school, ever since that moment, I started to become more confident with myself, and fast forward today, here we are. I'm very in touch with my culture, very pro-black or whatever. I even started an all-black book club with not all, but some of my black friends. So we started reading books by Black authors, and I'm not going to go into full details yet. But I am, because I work with children, so I am working on a way to help build confidence in Black children. So now looking back on everything I faced, I feel like the hardest part for me now is just, even with some of the things that I don't know because I was not taught back then when I was younger, it sucks now that now being an adult, it's all up to me. I have to teach myself. Like, for an example, like when I said, oh, I don't know the Black national anthem, like, it sucks because, I mean, growing up, like I said, I was not taught by my parents about Black culture and stuff. But now it's like, okay, well, I'm an adult now, so I gotta figure it all out by myself. And it's like, ugh. Another thing is, like, if I don't know something, pretty much, because I'm an adult now, I have to take all the heat for not knowing. Like, for an example, there was this one guy I was talking to, and we were watching the King Richard movie, and the Rodney King video popped up, and I didn't know who it was, because if you just seen everything that I talked about, obviously I would not know. But because I didn't know, he started criticizing me and telling me I need to do better, and pretty much just shaming me for not knowing. And it's like, okay, you're shaming me, but baby, it's not my fault that I wasn't taught. So yeah, it pretty much sucks just like taking all the heat for not knowing stuff that I was not taught growing up. But like I said, now that I'm an adult, it's all up to me now. So thanks, Mom and Dad. Like I said, with my experiences, I don't hold any grudges or animosity towards other people. I might actually, because I still have some of their contact information, I might try to reach out to them so they can watch this video, you know, just to understand what life was like for me growing up. But like I said, I don't hold any grudges, no animosity or whatever. I just hope that they learn to do better, because all you can do is learn and do better next time, right? Fortunately for me, I was able to recognize what was wrong, and now I'm taking steps to do better. Thank God for that. But through this experience, I just want to remind people just to give each other grace and understanding, because, you know, we always preach, you never know what someone is going through. And I feel like we preach that more than we practice that. And this is why I said, especially like when we were kids and stuff with the racism in my face, I try not to hold animosity or grudges towards that, because like I said, kids only know what adults teach them. And this is not to say what they did was right. I'm just hoping that they grew up and they learned just like I did. Now that I share my experience, I hope some of you guys don't feel alone. I hope some of you guys learn from a different perspective. And yeah, but thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you wanna, in the comments, tell me about what life was like for you growing up Black. And this is for my Black people only. I mean, if you're not Black, you can always comment or whatever, things that you have learned about Black culture or whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
I'm in London, I like to go and shop at the mall, shop at the Prada, shop at the store, shop in the drop and stop at Dior.